She is the worst polling Democrat against Donald Trump in history on national polls. No one is performing worse than her. No one's performing worse than her among blacks, among Hispanics, the worst performing Democrat in modern history among those demographics, worst performing polling-wise among Jews. She is losing key factions of the Democratic base. Muslim voters, she's at under 50%, she's at 52% in the latest CARE poll among black Muslims. She is not doing well.
We're a show to a whole entire company. What is your your economic plan moving forward for people who are living paycheck to paycheck and struggling for groceries and rent and homeowners?
So look, I grew up, so my sister and I were raised by our mother. We lived for a long time in an apartment on top of a child care center. That child care center was actually owned by a woman who lived 2 doors down from us, Mrs. Shelton, who was, by all of our accounts and feelings, our second mother. She helped raise us. And so she was a small business owner. So I'll start with the small business, and congratulations on what you guys have done. I, from a child, knew who our small business owners are, right? I mean, you're business leaders, but you're also civic leaders. You take seriously your voice and how you can mentor, how you can grow, right? Communities and the sense of communities. I love our small businesses. And so a lot of my work in terms of building and growing the economy has focused on small businesses. And my vision overall is we need to build an opportunity economy in which we increase opportunity for all, including small business owners. So a lot of my work, even in the Senate, was about increasing access to capital through our small businesses, and in particular through our community banks. So I've been responsible for billions of dollars more now going into our community banks, because they're in the community, and then they know who's in the community and where the talent is and who's doing good in the community, what the community wants.
4 years she was in office, we were doing good, absolutely good. You know, Kamala, she's already in office and ain't done. And, you know, I mean, there was more work too. We were able to afford things.
But look at where Kamala Harris is today. She's only leading by 9 points. That would be the worst Democratic performance in a generation, 10 points off the mark of Joe Biden, who, of course, won 4 years ago, was sort of that union guy, Union Joe, right? Won it by 19 points. She's 10 points off his mark and the worst in a generation.
So we're going to talk about polls again. So I looked through my comment section over the week, and I saw some comments talking about like, oh, Kenny, you don't know what you're talking about. What polls? No polls show Kamala Harris is behind Donald Trump. And I was like, oh, this person must only look at specific polls then. This guy must have a narrow-minded view on polls. And I was like, if you look at the aggregate, she's the worst performing Democrat. And I put CNN for you, you know, for my liberals that watch me. I put CNN for you. I put MSNBC, and I put a regular podcast of two former NBA players who I can defer as like what, millionaires. And this contrast is going on with the Democratic Party that the Democrats have not realized yet. A Michigan Democrat senator candidate warns internal polling show Kamala's underwater in the state. I'm not feeling my best right now where we are in Kamala's place in Michigan. And people are sitting here pretending, oh, Kamala's doing fine. Go, Kamala's doing so good. The polls. You do realize states like California, New York, skew the polls, right? You do know that, right? They have some of the densest population states, and they happen to be the most blue states. They fudge the numbers for you guys. This is why nationally you guys look good, and this is why people focus, like me, we only focus on those polls in the swing states, because the swing states are going to decide the election. Not California, not New York, the swing states. And in the swing states, she's not doing too good. As you saw from the clip, you had a Latino voter from Vegas commenting on the fact that, yo, I felt like I have less opportunity now. She's been in office already for 4 years. She has not really done anything. It's hard to make a living out here. And then, you know, we just finished going through Hurricane Helene, I think. And she's not taking questions. She's not even answering questions about the hurricane, right? I mean, you don't believe me? Okay, let's take a look. This is supposed to be our president, right? Millions of people don't have power. Entire towns are destroyed, and over 120 people are gone. And Kamala Harris just took 0 questions at the FEMA headquarters. This is not presidential material. This is how some people will take it. Now, see how Trump is acting, and he's not, both of them are not technically the president, right? And look how Trump is perceived by the people according to this news anchor. Let's take a look.
He is being treated not just as a former president, but almost as though he is a sitting president. As Boris, you just noted, getting a briefing from FEMA, getting a briefing from the National Guard. That is not something that is typically just offered to a candidate. They are treating him as though he is a former president who is there to help. And one thing that I had noticed earlier during our 1 p.m. conversation was that Donald Trump did not have that much to offer in terms of resources since he is not a sitting president. But I will note that he and the campaign say that they have arrived in that area with trucks full of supplies that they plan on giving out. So there is something there for them to offer. He also said that he had a tanker truck full of gasoline, which obviously, if you've ever covered one of these storms, you understand that one of the first things and hardest things to come by is gasoline. So he said that he was going to be giving that out. He is clearly taking this seriously as a politician is on the ground, trying to show that he is there in support of the people on the ground in Georgia.
And you saw from the clip, those are the kind of things I think people appreciate, people love about Donald Trump. Like, even like he's a billionaire. He's using his resources that he has and he's giving it to the people. He's like, yo, I'm here for you guys. Like, this is craziness. I even believe, I think the North Carolina guy even suspended his campaign temporarily to focus on recovery in North Carolina, if I believe, Mark Robinson. And what is Biden doing? I think he's still on vacation. And apparently Kamala Harris staged a phone call. And you don't expect to be down in the polls for doing stuff like this. And what is the Democrat response to everything that's going on with the recovery efforts? Here's the Department of Homeland Security Secretary Mayorkas and what he thought about the recovery at Helene, from Helene.
I want to read to you something that the mayor of Canton, North Carolina said, talking about the frustration that a lot of people feel about the lack of communication. Here's what he said. It is unacceptable and disgusting that in our time of need, cellular service for the entire region is blocked out. There's no excuse for that. I mean, we knew the storm was coming. I can't believe this is a normalcy. Is this a systemic problem? Is this something that is going to be more and more normal as we see more and more devastating storms? What do you say to people who are desperate to find out whether people they love are still alive?
I well understand the concerns expressed. These are people in the midst of a tragic hurricane. That is precisely why we and others have been deploying communications resources to ensure that communication is reinstated as quickly as possible. The reality is that the severity and frequency of extreme weather events are only increasing.
So climate change, right? Whole lot of word salad just to say climate change. And you wonder why Kamala Harris is the worst performing Democrat in a while, right? And I show you guys the trends because they don't like, it seems like people don't believe me when I talk, right? Kamala Harris complained about Donald Trump being handed $400 million on a silver platter, and then he turned that into $1 billion. Like, end of the day, you can make all the excuses you want. Oh, Donald Trump got $1 million to start his business. Yeah, and he turned into $1 billion. He made more of what he got. Some of you get 10 grand from your parents, and all you got to show for it is chain, Gucci outfit, and a new car. If my mom gave me 10 grand and I turned it to 100,000, people will reward me for that. People will congratulate me for that. People will praise me for that. But Donald Trump getting $1 million and turning it into $1 billion, somehow you try to look down on him. Somehow you try to say he has a silver spoon in his mouth, like he didn't work hard to make that 1 million into $1 billion. No one knew who Trump was, and then now everyone knows Trump's like some of the most famous real estate person in the world. You think that just happened by accident? And this is what's baffling about people. Like, and Donald Trump showed me he has the work ethic. Look how he goes out in campaigns. He goes on these podcasts. Now Kamala Harris is following him. That's why I showed you the Matt Barnes, Steven Jackson interview. Now she's following in his footsteps. Donald Trump was doing the podcast thing first. Now she's doing it with friendly people, by the way. And this is something that this is what's resonating with people. Like, yo, you had a functioning border, and then you and Biden, first 100 days, you remove all of Trump's border all his executive orders for the border, but you kept his tariffs though. But then you want to criticize him about tariffs. Make it make sense, Biden administration. Make it make sense, Harris. You're going to criticize the guy for tariffs that you're currently keeping on the books right now. No wars in the Middle East, no Russian-Ukraine war. Then you let in 10 million illegal immigrants, created 40-year inflation, set the Middle East on fire, and usher in the worst war in Europe since World War II. I mean, are you surprised that everyone's like angry at Kamala Harris? You want to criticize a guy for tariffs that you're keeping on the books, but you remove all the border policy that you didn't like that Donald Trump put in on his executive order, and then someone rationalizing the idea that Kamala's going to be better on the border than Trump. I don't think I believe you. I do not think I believe you. But this is the world we live in now. So all I can keep doing is keep trying to wake people up. When you realize that 70% of all wealth in America is owned by Democrats, you realize the party of the people is now the Republican Party. And this is for all my black folks that's going to go in the comment section like, these people don't care about you. Well, people always talk about how the rich people don't care about them. And you just found out majority of the rich people are Democrats. Now what? But you vote for them. Like, make it make sense. We're going to tax the rich. 2 minutes later, billionaires are speaking at the DNC right after Bernie Sanders just finished saying that he's going to tax the billionaires. You're going to tax Republican billionaires? See, here comes discrimination. Democrats, a party of discrimination. They divide you by race. They think based on your race, you got different needs compared to other people. But Democrats are not the party of racism. Okay. It's just baffling to me, like the way that people just hold on to hope, like, oh my God, Kamala's gonna win. I don't see it, but stranger things has happened. So let's get into this poll. I know you guys been dying to see it, so let's see how CNN is reacting to the fact that union households, right? I just showed you Democrats are part of the rich and wealthy, Hollywood actors, Hollywood elites, these executives, they all vote Democrat. They all support the Democratic Party. Democrats have raised more money for the past, 4 years compared to Donald Trump? Yet you still want to pretend that the Democrats are fighting for the working class people. The unions don't think so. And they're a big constituency to the Democrats winning the election, especially in Michigan, Pennsylvania, Wisconsin, if I remember correctly. This is why I say, hey, Democrats are shocked. Alarm bells are signaling for a lot of these Democrats. They have special polls that only they have access to, and it's showing them underwater in battleground states.
Off the screen should set off sirens. All right, this is union households. This is Democratic margin in presidential election. It ain't what it used to be. You go back to 1992. Bill Clinton won that union vote by 30 points. Hillary Clinton only won it by 12 points back in 2016. That was the lowest mark for a Democrat since 1984, Mondale versus Reagan. But look at where Kamala Harris is today. She's only leading by 9 points. That would be the worst Democratic performance in a generation, 10 points off the mark of Joe Biden, who, of course, won 4 years ago, was sort of that union guy, Union Joe, right? Won it by 19 points. She's 10 points off his mark, and the worst in a generation.
Another thing I hear on my comment section from people who disagree with me, they also say that, oh, well, Kamala is going to galvanize the minority vote. And I was like, it don't matter if she galvanized the minority vote, because for the most part, many minorities are kind of split on her. So I don't know why you're counting on the minorities to just vote for her at the same rate they voted for, let's say, Joe Biden. And in my view, and I already stated this, I already showed my case for this, but in 2020, it's been commonly agreed upon that the reason Donald Trump lost the election is because he lost support with white voters. Many white voters, especially in Michigan, Pennsylvania, Wisconsin, are union workers. I told you the white male vote is what cost Donald Trump the election in 2020. Donald Trump gained with Hispanic voters. Donald Trump gained with black voters. So the idea that, oh, we're going to have more outpour of minorities, no. I think literally the white male is going to decide the 2024 election. This is why Kamala Harris picked Tim Walz, who might get destroyed. Not might. High probability he's going to get wrecked today at the time of me making this video. And look at Harris. She's performing 10 points worse than Biden with the same group of people. And these group of people, they're heavily in these swing states, especially the Pennsylvanias, the Michigans, and the Wisconsins, because those are the 3 states that Donald Trump needs to win the election. But, people, especially my dissenters who disagree with me say, oh, I don't know what I'm talking about. Oh, Kenny, you don't understand inflation. What do you mean? If things cost more, if things are more expensive to purchase, then obviously the price is going to rise. If a business has to spend more money to buy for the same products than they did before, obviously the price is going to increase as well. But you think the business is doing that? You think the business is being malicious and increasing prices? This is the type of stuff I debate people online with. And it showed me like, yo, you're not even making an argument. You're just trying to give me talking points that you heard Kamala tell you or Kamala's surrogates tell you. But you don't actually understand economics on your own. And then you're sitting here trying to preach to me about inflation. Inflation only comes from government spending. Do your research to try to debunk that point. But I digress.
If this, in fact, holds, Sarah.
It is interesting to note that the difference between this, and Biden still won.
Still won.
But those numbers are significantly down. All right, talk to me about manual labor, those folks who went to trade schools.
Yeah, those folks who use their hands. I think a lot of people oftentimes conflate the union vote with those who use their hands. Mike Rowe, of course, has been arguing more people should go to trade schools, more people should get a vocational degree. Look at this margin. This, to me, oh boy, does this tell you about the state of our politics now versus back in the early 1990s? Margin among vocational.
Oh my God. When black people come in my comment section and be like, those Republicans don't care about you. You know what my rebuttal is for all my black conservatives out there? Hey, those rich people don't care about you. They're gonna look at you weird. They're gonna be like, what you talking about? What you talking about? What do you mean the rich people don't care about me? Oh, you don't know? 70% of the wealth is owned by Democrats. So yeah, them rich people don't care about you. Who you have more in common? The average American? The average American statistically seems like is more likely to be a Republican than a Democrat. But if you're college educated, you make a good living, especially if you're college educated, right? There's a correlation with college education and more income. You're more likely to be a Democrat. But you got black Democrats. Oh, those white people don't care about you. Those rich people don't care about you. Oprah don't care about you. You see what happened when the conversation stopped being about substance and policy? Hey, man, I digress. I think I proved my point here. Even if I didn't, you see where I'm coming from. You see what I'm saying. I'm saying the trends are not in Kamala's favor. That's all I'm trying to say. And I'm showing you directly how her actions, I perceive, is what's affecting her in the polls. My biggest criticism for Kamala Harris is the fact that she's inauthentic, vague. Like, you don't even, like, she's never stated she was black, right? All you black people keep saying that she's black. She never said she was black. So if the individual themselves said they're not black, but you're saying they're black, is you're projecting what you want onto the other person. That's essentially what black Democrats are doing. Oh, her last name is Harris. Have you ever noticed that Kamala Harris never talks about her dad? Have you never noticed that? All she talks about is her mom, her sister, her mom, her sister. She never has a story about her dad, the one that's supposed to be giving her blackness. Y'all black Democrats, bruh. And y'all have the gall to call me a coon. Oh my God, sit down. The pot calling the kettle black. But I digress. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. I appreciate you guys watching to the end of the video. And I'll catch you guys on the next one. Peace.